Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm not going to beat around the bush too much with this one because you've likely read the title already. PTSD is awful. That should go without saying. But in this video, I want to touch on it in a little bit more detail, just to maybe... Well, the motivation of me doing this really is to pass on what's helped me the most. And hopefully that helps someone. And hopefully this can... hopefully educate, inform others. I don't know, we'll see. But I will start with the disclaimer, I suppose is what you would call it, that I'm not a medical professional. I'm not trained in psychology in any way, but I do have a keen interest in the subject. I do research it myself in my personal time, and I want to pass on those things that have helped me. So yeah, I mean, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, it's something that everybody's heard, and for a long time in my life I always thought it was a little bit cool, because I thought, oh, you're probably a soldier, you've probably been through some awesome stuff, but you got a little bit hurt and now you're dealing with this awesome thing. And like, no. To put it bluntly, no. But yeah, so my understanding of this topic is that in recent years there has been a development, and that is that there are two forms now. You've got PTSD and you've got complex PTSD, so PTSD and CPTSD. The difference between them, as I understand it, is PTSD is a trauma-based injury based on a single event that you can point to. So it could be sudden death of someone in your family, it could be a car accident, it could be, well, if you're a veteran, if you're a combat veteran, it would be something you saw in combat. One thing that you can point to that says that was it. So that's PTSD. Complex PTSD, CPTSD, is when you suffer from exactly the same trauma responses. You have the same injury, but there's no one thing you can point to. It's a whole series of events that has led up to you having this injury. And there's a very specific reason for using the word injury, because PTSD is a brain injury. And while it's awful and it sucks to have it, the positive is just like any other injury, whether you've broken your leg, you've torn a muscle, whatever it is, you can recover. You can deal with it. You may still be left with some scars, like, you know, if you break a leg, you know, if you have an x-ray, you'll still see where the break was. If you tear a muscle, you're going to have residual issues from in that muscle, but you will still get, you know, you'll still get the use of your leg back. You'll still get the use of your arm, your bicep back, or whatever it is. You will still get it back, and you can recover with some scars. And that is the positive to take away from this, is that it's not hopeless, it's not the end of the world. It sucks, it's crap. I don't need to tell you if you've got it. I don't need to tell you that, you already know. So I'm not going to dwell on the negatives at all, really. I'm not going to do that. But what I want to do is, I was diagnosed with one of these two about 2.5 years ago, and I'd had it for a very, very long time, and I knew something was up with me. You know, everybody, you can probably understand this. You know your body, you know your mind, and you just know when something's up. And for me, I knew something was up for a very long time, and I was fortunate enough to get help, receive this diagnosis, and it's explained and it's helped me understand myself in a massive, massive way. And fairly recently, I stumbled across some material that I had read before, but I reread it, and it was only on the second reading that I realised, hang on a second, the advice I'm reading here, even though this advice is 80 years old, it's still true today. It's still real enough, it's still valid, that I can use this. And the second part of this is anyone, you know, maybe it could just be me, but anyone who's dealing with this sort of difficult situation, it's sometimes difficult to take the words of people seriously when you know they've not dealt with it themselves. Like, they can say to you, oh, you need to do this, this, and this to get better. And the response is, well, how do you know? You don't know what you don't get what I'm dealing with. You don't understand this. You're just, you're just paid to say that. Stuff like that. Those doubts can go through your mind. And this is where this bit of advice for me is different. And what I'll do, I'll bring up these two books here. So, with the Old Breed, and we've got China Marine. So, this might seem a little counterintuitive at first, but I will explain what's going on here. So, with the Old Breed, this one, this was written by a man called Eugene Sledge, and he was a Marine during the Second World War. He was assigned to the 1st Marine Division. He was in K35, so that's 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, and he served on Peleliu, and he served in Okinawa. Two of the... I think in his own words, the only way World War II could have gotten worse was to be a prisoner of war of the Japanese. That's the only way his life could have been worse. So that sets the scene a little bit for the scale. That sets the bar. Now, PTSD is PTSD, or CPTSD is, it is what it is. All of these issues can come from different places, but the end result is somewhat the same. Now, the difference between... Well, not the difference, no. The reason I find this material so helpful is because when I read it, I know this guy knows what he's talking about. I know when he talks about having a difficult time sleeping, when he talks about having flashbacks in the middle of the day because of something he's seen around him in life, I know he knows what he's talking about. I know that he gets it. And that takes away the whole kind of, oh, you don't know, do you? You don't know what you're talking about. You're just paid. That reading his material takes away all of that immediately. And so for me, I'm thinking, this guy knows. And so whatever he writes down, it's fact. It clearly it's worked. And the reason, there's another layer to this as well for me, which is this guy survived Peleliu, he survived Okinawa, and then on top of that, he came home and he studied for a master's in biology. He got a PhD in, I believe it was just biology. No. Oh, there's more detail. You can read it if you find out. But right now, he got a master's and a PhD in biology. He got married. He had a family. He lived a very successful and happy life. And so for me, that's like, okay, this isn't the end. This can work. I can make this. I can deal with this, because if this guy could do it, so can I. And there are three things in this book particularly. There are three things at the very end of this book that I have memorized. There are three rules that I have memorized that help me almost on a daily basis, and I've now got to the meat of this video. This is what I want to pass on to other people that may be struggling, might be finding it tough. Now, I'll give you a heads up. What I'm about to say is not like just do these three things and your life will be wonderful. Like, no, what I'm about to say, it's hard work. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's hard work. Dealing with this stuff is not easy. Anyone who's got it will know that. This is really tough. But just for me, knowing that someone else had the same issues, or similar issues, or actually no, I will say probably worse, I would actually say. Knowing that he had it worse than I do tells me, well, if he can get through it, then so can I. I can do this. And that's the kind of encouragement, that's the motivation that helps me on a daily basis. Now, what I'll do, I'll put it up on the screen. But I'm going to read. I'm going to read from the book, and obviously I'll put it up on screen so you guys can read along as well. Now I've read this enough times that I know what I need to find is on page 129. And there we are, page 129. Oh, we're going the wrong way. There you go. I've highlighted it. That's how important this is for me. I've highlighted it. So let's read these three, well, they're sort of rules. So here we go. First, never become embittered because many other men had safe, comfortable war assignments, all too often obtained through political influence. That's the way of cowards in this world. 2. Never feel sorry for yourself because of what you endured. On the other hand, feel fiercely proud that you served with the finest and fought the fiercest enemy and lived to tell the tale. 3. If you ever drink alcohol, do it in moderation. Alcohol can be a wonderful escape from bad memories, but it is addictive, will make you act the fool, and ultimately ruin you. I've treated some of the nicest people who were ruined by the stuff, but I can't cure them. They must have the willpower. Now, the first thing I'll say about my understanding of this injury is that last line is the bit that I initially found the toughest to deal with. No one is going to come in and rescue me. No one's going to come in and pat me on the back and say, there, it's going to be all right. No one's going to wave a magic wand and make it all okay. No, it doesn't work like that. This might be the hardest bit to deal with for anybody who's struggling. I have to have the willpower. I have got to do this on my own. It's crap. It's crap. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's crap. But that is the fact. I am the only one that can help me. People can support me. People can encourage me. Loved ones, family, they can assist. They can support you, but they cannot cure you. Can't cure me. I must have the willpower. Now, those words were the words that Eugene's father spoke to him, and Eugene's father was in fact a doctor who treated shell shock from World War I, so he knew what he was talking about. He had dealt with, I believe he was a doctor in New York City, and he was dealing with shell shock victims from the First World War. So, shell shock was the words used in World War I, battle fatigue, World War II, and now it's just PTSD. They're basically all the same. So this guy, Eugene's father, he knew what he was talking about. And that's, again, another layer that just makes this all the more real to me. I mean, these are the words being spoken by a man who dealt with shell shock victims from First World War. There's no nonsense here. This is straight up facts. This is straight up, this is what you're going to have to do to deal with this. So the first rule, do not become embittered. That can be very tough sometimes. If you're a combat veteran, it must. I can only imagine what it must be like for you guys. I mean, having civilian conversation must be laughable at times. Must be a complete joke. And if I won't read more of it, but in this book he talks about Eugene. He talks about some of the conversations he had with civilians after the war, and it was basically like, oh, your commanding officer made you take out the trash, did he? Okay, all right, that must have been so hard for you. Stuff like that. But that's what leads to embitterment. You look at other people and think, really, you've got it so easy, and you become bitter. You become bitter that other people have it easier, or whatever it might be. And the straight up fact with this is, can't do that. I cannot do that, because I will only make my difficult situation worse. I cannot do that. I have to have the willpower to not do that. I have to, because I have to care about myself enough to not do that. It's tough. It's tough. This is not an easy journey. It's not. But again, if he can do it, so can I. Second one, do not feel sorry for yourself. There are times when it all gets too much, you're having a bad day, and you think, just why, why me? You feel sorry for yourself, you get down. Can't do that. Can't do that. I have to turn it around to a positive. I have to turn it around to say, all right, well, it happened. Yeah, it happened. It's crap. Not gonna lie. But I made it. I've made it through. I've made it through, and in some cases, some other people didn't make it through, and I need to be grateful that I did make it through. I need to be proud of the fact that I did make it through, and I've made it through with the mind I have now. I might be injured slightly, depending on where you are in your recovery. You might be injured more, you might be injured less, but hey, I'm here. I'm on this journey, and I'm willing to put in the effort to get better. You have to spin it positively. Cannot feel sorry for myself ever. Can't do that. And the third rule is probably the one that needs updating the most, I would say, because yes, I mean, in 1946 alcohol was, I suppose that was the go-to. I'm not particularly well versed in the substance, the I don't know what word you call it, the medical substances world. I don't know what was available in 1946, but anyway, these days, whether what you have is prescribed to you or not, it can be very easy to think, I've had a crap day, it's hurting right now, it's hitting me hard right now, I'm having a tough time. It's in those moments where it becomes very, very easy to just reach for something. I'll just reach for that, just to take the edge off, just so I can, I don't know, get some sleep or whatever it might be. Moderation, like he said there, moderation. Yeah, if it helps take the edge off, just so you can get one night, just to get some sleep, fine. But it can be addictive. It can be addictive, and that will ruin people. It does ruin people. That's the problem. So there you go. That is essentially what I wanted to say for this video. I've not found anything that's helped me as much as these 3 rules. Now, you guys, if anyone is struggling with this, you might be different. Maybe you've learned something from this, I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to pass on for today. And if you are struggling, I feel for you. Get help if you can. And yeah, I would say remember to keep these 3 things in mind. I mean, they've helped me, and I'm sure they can help you. So thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, give the video a like if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you out there.